Hello, hello. Hi, Kate. How are you? How's everything today?
Good morning, Carlos. Everything's going well so far.
Nice. Kate Kerrigan from Wisconsin. I want to thank you, obviously, for taking the time to actually be interviewed by Mosaic Art behind the scenes. I think this is a really cool program that we get to talk to a lot of different mosaic artists. So I wanted to thank you first before
Well,
I
thank
said
you for
anything
having
else.
me. It's an honor and a pleasure.
No, no. And you have talking about Kate a little bit. She's been doing mosaics. You were just telling me 1998 plus. She just that was like her first experience, but obviously with mosaics, getting into it a little bit more, like 2004, she really started doing some more, and then she just has this whole background of just awards, educational background. Also, I was reading, she had an Sony Award too back in 2009. So, if you've been to our Sony, that's a big deal because these companies like Sony and Dona that make the glass, like if you know them, you're pretty much a mosaic artist. So, and she does publications, she has classes and workshops, and she's been affiliated with SAMA and the International Association of Contemporary Mosaics. But in general, I mean, if you look at her resume and look at her webpage, katekerrigan.net, you will find all the info, and you can definitely see what a great mosaic artist she is. So I'm very thankful, like I said, and I'll say it again. Thank you again for being on this program. And this is a cool podcast. So we are going to talk about really cool stuff today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Like your project that I have been seeing in Facebook that you've been posting and doing these publications. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about. This personal project that you have that you've been going around the U.S. to make these pieces of mosaics for a location in the future. But first of all, I want to ask you before we get to that, why mosaics? Why is it something that it just calls you out and it's kind of like therapy, art therapy? Because I know a lot of people do art therapy and other stuff, but is it just your artistic skills that you got
Ah,
into it?
I think it's probably a combination of a lot of that, really. I've always been a creative person way back to my childhood, and but never really was encouraged to pursue art as some sort of um, you know career path. So it took me a while to kind of get back to that creativity. So when I took a mosaic class in 1998, I just wanted to make a mosaic tabletop. That was my goal. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do, and so when I did that, it just was that sort of aha moment of I can do this. I love this. It's very hands-on and tactile, and it just got all of that creativity going again. And I mean, I guess I should backtrack a little bit in that I did go through a graphic design program while I was living in San Francisco, and again, that really got my creative senses going. So that really did propel me, like the whole creative energy again. But I was turned off by the computer. So it was in the mid 90s, and that's really when like desktop publishing was a huge thing. And it's, San Francisco especially is extremely competitive that way. And I'm not that person. So it was a turn off to me, but I didn't want to, I felt good about finding Mosaic because nothing is a waste of time. That degree
Yeah,
in
no,
graphic.
and your bachelor's is in environmental, right? Studies.
Yeah, environmental studies, Madison. Yeah, which I still love. Personally, I'm very environmentally conscious and would like to actually incorporate more of that into my work and what I say. So yeah, it's kind of neat coming full circle and discovering Mosaic and really taking off with it, and it spoke to me immediately.
Oh.
And so yeah, I've been doing it for, gosh, is that 20? Do the math. I guess that's 24 years I'm coming up on of being in the field, and probably not prolifically. I mean, I was slow to get onto the internet. I was slow to discover SAMA, and that what the world of mosaic really consisted of. So kind of doing it, on my own. I was working with stained glass, doing my own thing, a lot of functional pieces like chessboards and mirrors and such. And then I kind of gravitated into a little bit more art, fine art, or, with stained glass. And then I think when I was surfing the web back then, I discovered SAMA, and was reading all these bios of what the different artists. I'm like, wow, there's a whole world of mosaic art out there that I didn't know about, and discovered a lot of them had gone to Italy to study. So, and I loved traveling and stuff. So that really propelled me to go forward and dive deeper into it. So I did. I ended up going to Ravenna. I think it was 2006. Both Ravenna and Orsoni that same year. Went back to Orsoni again just to play.
Yeah. It's a fun place to go play, actually, right? I mean, it's right. It's right in Venice. It's right by the island of Murano.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had a lot of experiences. I mean, just by reading your resume, you have all these different, even like teaching, all over Mons, in Sydney, Australia. You've been a guest over there.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you like about the teaching part of it? Do you like the interaction with other people when they play with the materials?
I think it's excitement. I'll have to be honest. I haven't taught a whole lot, only because there's so many teachers out there teaching things, and I always wonder what I can bring to the table. And a lot of stuff that's intuitive to me, is putting those into teaching words, and what can I teach, and how I do things. It's different than other people, and so yeah, it's always been hard for me to teach because I feel like I have to shove so much information into what is art and being creative and what makes good art and composition, and then there's materials, and then there's cutting, and so I've scaled
fundamental and technique.
Yeah, I mean, all of that, right? And so and so many amazing teachers out there teaching all these things. I've just been concentrating, I think, just on my own work. So I do plan on teaching them more, I think, in the future, especially after this project. Just seeing the excitement around people being exposed to mosaic who've never done it, and who express interest in it. I just want to learn like basics, and just creating this little mosaic with people really got them excited.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this project that you have, that you've been publishing on Facebook and all your social media. And I'm sure you have it on your website, right? Just telling the story of it. Like, do you have a blog in your website?
I don't have a blog necessarily. There are some newsletters I send out that are attached to the project page found in my website, that you can go back and read my insight on the development of it and process and progress of it. So that's all on the website. But yeah, the project is called Piecing Us Together, and I started it, 11 months ago. So I'm almost on a year of working on this project. And it started by, I think a lot of things. It came out of COVID, I think everybody's slowing down to really reassess their life and reevaluate things. So thoughts that were coming up for me were the importance of family and relationships, friendships, in-person connection, like face-to-face connection.
Yeah, engagement, right? With people, interactions.
Right. Yeah, we're all missing that. I missed it. Also, during that time, I was thinking my art did change quite a bit. I did a lot of abstract work. And so, thinking on themes of things were coming up for me, and what do I want to say in my work? And along those lines was, just thinking, like, where do I want my art to go from here? And I've been doing the same thing, a lot of representational work, abstract work, more recently. And this feeling of kind of wanting to do something a little bit bigger than myself, not just for myself. So all these ideas kind of mulling a bit around, and plus my itch to travel. I was just dying to get out.
Yeah.
And then I turned 50 last April. So
okay.
Very reflective on
you don't look 50. You don't look 50. No.
Thank you.
I was surprised when you were like, you graduated in what year? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I was like,
Thanks,
You look
Carlos.
younger.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was all those big things, and it all came into one. Like seriously, it hit me so fast and hard. This idea of like, what if I drive around the country, visiting all my family and friends, and doing this art project? And it
Wow.
just made sense. And it's
Yeah,
not like
that's so
I,
nice.
yeah, it took me about
It's
6 weeks
amazing.
to, if I want to say plan it, even though most of it was pretty unplanned in a way. It sounds kind of crazy, but I just kind of took off. And I
Yeah.
mean, I had a lot of things set in place, but did not know any outcome, didn't know what if people would be up for it during COVID.
How many states have you been through already?
38 states I
Oh,
went through.
okay.
Yep,
Wow.
and stopped. And so yeah, and I made a whole kind of spreadsheet of friends and family all over the country.
Okay.
Some people reached out to me and wanted to be a part of it. I
Yeah.
reached out to others. So it was and it was a little bit overwhelming. I mean, there's I could probably do this whole project again and have even more people participate.
Yeah.
And that's the only not bad thing, but regret is just that. Gosh, I really wish more people could have
Yeah. Yeah.
participated
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
maybe
Yeah,
be
it's
around
amazing how
for
you
me.
just out of your head, this idea of just going out and making mosaics and visiting people and getting everybody to make some mosaics with a certain technique
Yeah,
that you obviously teach, and just the materials, that you're using too, because the material part is also kind of hard too sometimes when you
yeah,
make a mosaic. So that whole like programming and organizing, I mean, I'm
yeah.
very proud of you for doing that. I mean, that's a lot of hard work that
Yeah.
you did, especially like 11 months. Are you stopped right now with enough material to build something,
Oh,
or are you still going?
no. So the visit, I spent I think it's about 6 to 7 months visiting with people, and that was even included locally here in Oregon. But that part's over. So now I've just been in the process of, which it turned out to be 549 people that created little mosaics. And that was little kids all the way down to, I think, 5 years old was the youngest, up to 94 years old.
Wow.
Um, so, so now I've got 594 little, approximately 8-inch little strips of mosaic that I'm now in the process of laying all out into the final design. And we'll have to create a substrate.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so hopefully it'll be able to travel around a little
And
bit
you're
from,
installing that? You're installing all those pieces by yourself?
yeah, yeah. So
Or you
it'll
have
be,
these
I mean,
people help you?
so it's just like now I consider it all these little, like 594 pieces of tessera, right? Because they're all these little strips. So now I get to put them in, but it's making them all fit together and to represent the project, which there were several themes: unity, inclusion,
Yeah.
connection, that I really want to come through in this project.
Can you describe what one of the pieces would look like? Like, if for the people who are listening, what does
Sure,
one piece look like if you had someone in the audience make one, for instance?
sure. So it would be, you'd be given a little strip of mesh, approximately 8 inches long, and anywhere from a 1/4 inch, and it might widen into maybe up to an inch or two. Each strip was different, so that there'd be some undulation and andamento going on and some flow. So they just weren't straight. There was some shape to them. And then you could have your choice of using stone or smalty, and those are obviously the
Okay.
two sort of classic materials. And then I was using Well Bond for this particular project, for ease of use and cleanliness. I'm going to houses, restaurants. I mean, I wasn't about to mix mortar.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it
Yeah.
takes
So
time.
anyway, and that's intimidating to a lot of people. But I was introducing Hammer and Hardy to everybody. I had my
Oh
little
yeah. You'd be
Hammer and
amazed by how many people don't know how to use a hammer, or they've never even seen one.
I know. It's,
We're like prehistoric times, like, oh, what do you mean a hammer? Like, you have an
people think,
iPad or an iPhone? Give me an iPhone,
yeah.
you know?
So that was cool. I felt like this little mosaic ambassador going around,
Nice,
and
nice.
then people got an insight, like my friends and family, like, okay, they know I'm an artist or whatever, but
Yeah,
just give an idea of what I do. And so, I had nippers too, or I would cut for people if they didn't feel comfortable, obviously, or they would
yeah.
try it. So and people got excited. It was, something
Oh, I'm sure.
tactile
Yeah.
to do, and like you said, yeah, so different than an iPhone or sitting on your computer. This is getting people to do something.
Yeah, and you can't cut material with an iPhone, right? So, like, our jobs, that our jobs are going to be here for a long time, right? You know that.
Right. I bet you the iPhone someday will be able to cut Smalty. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think it'll give the instruction to
It'll
cut
be a
it.
tap.
I've seen. There's a company or take a friend of mine over there. They they use robots and they just number the pieces and then they start
Oh,
making it design and it's more architectural, industrial, but they're
yeah,
doing it that way. They
yeah,
haven't figured out how to cut specific pieces.
yeah,
So maybe, but then you come into hand of like originality, right? Like, yeah, they can cut it, but like it won't have a machine think of like what color to choose or
yeah,
maybe with artificial intelligence, but I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point, right?
yeah. Let's hope not. And that's the beauty of Mosaic, right? Is everything's hand cut. Of all art, all real art. It's
Yeah.
cut. And you're coming from your inside, your idea and your thoughts and your concept, and then bringing that out through your hands. And so that
Well,
was
yeah.
another
Yeah.
neat thing in the project was so I didn't have any rules. People could do
Okay.
whatever they
Oh,
want.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so nice. That's so cool.
Other than I had 4 colors based on the
Yeah.
4 places I lived, and that's how I knew the person. So,
Oh, okay.
green was Wisconsin. So that was grade school, high school, college, and my family, relatives. Uh,
Yeah.
blue is Lake Tahoe. This rusty pinkish rose color is San Francisco, and now I currently live in Redmond, Oregon, or near Bend, and that's high desert, so it's just golds and browns. So, anyways, the color choices I had predetermined, but other than that, they could use Smalty or Stone or both.
Yeah.
You could do
Did you make
whatever.
it to North Carolina? Did you make it to North
I
Carolina?
drove through. I drove through. I
No?
didn't know at the time. Yeah, I went to South
Okay.
Carolina and stopped with my.
Yeah, hey, that's close enough.
Yep. So, but everybody, I just let them express themselves. I'm like, this isn't going to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to miss out. The whole idea was to connect with people and not to make it my mosaic. This is how I would do it. So I wasn't teaching on Demento. I wasn't making them cut certain pieces or styles. So I just wanted them to express themselves and kind of explore.
Yeah.
So,
You know what? I like artists like you that don't think about money and like just getting all the money for like making a piece of art to be on the street or just to make paintings just to have that money flowing in. You do it because you like to do it. You do it because there was something that happened and it's a consequence of being isolated from COVID and then reaching out to people. And I'm sure these experiences with the people that you saw and that you work with, those will be left behind you like in your life, just like the experience of just doing that. And
yeah,
most people are scared to do things like that. They have a 9 to 5 job and just
yeah,
even getting out of the weekend is kind of hard sometimes. But I
yeah,
think, that's why we are artists. We think a little bit different out of the box and you make
yeah,
really good things. I really hope that this project that you did with everybody goes in a really nice place, like a
yeah,
public library, like you were saying, or just somewhere where it could actually tell that story of like what you can do. And I like it about not having rules. I did a project here in Hillsborough where it was also during the pandemic. It was like this 20-foot by 14-foot mural and I just gave them a theme, which was like love, unity, just kind of like what you were saying.
uh-huh,
And they did I made a video on how to make it with the mesh and with the direct method,
uh-huh,
obviously with glue, right? Because we're gonna do with thin set, especially if we're not supervising.
right,
But I just gave them the size. I mean, even if they didn't make the right size at the end, like I still fixed most of them.
yeah,
But they're just so unique, like how they made their pieces, and they used anything. Like
yeah,
a person used a beer bottle caps to make her mosaic, and it's like this really nice flower. Yeah, because her husband collected all these beer bottle caps, so she didn't know what to do with them. So it was like the first time I grouted bottle caps in my life because I had to grout all 156 pieces, which I'm
wow,
sure you can relate to what grouting is like, right?
yep, back in the day. Yeah, no, it's really special. Like as I was going through each of these pieces, each one has a story and
Yes.
it's a person. And I got really emotional when I literally
Yeah.
photographed each one and have been
Yeah.
just documenting everything really well. And like these people took the time to make this piece, and
Yeah.
it was their hands that touched this and put it together, and their little creation. And I know it was so special to a lot of people. I got a lot of such great feedback in hindsight and during and all. I
Yeah.
mean, it just made me feel really good. And but now this, collection of all these little pieces are like little gifts to me, from the people I know. And there were some strangers too, or people that I hadn't met. But
Yeah.
so that was cool too, is to meet new people and have them be included in it. So anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No, and you're gonna have something that it's gonna be there forever, right? Because mosaics last forever. That's a good thing. Like,
yeah,
the things that we've made or you've made, and they're just gonna be there for so long that it just, it's gonna be hard. Um, Even if a meteor does come hit our Earth, right? Exactly. So
right,
we'll still have our mosaics, for instance, because
right,
we are still discovering them all over the world. So
yeah,
um, I think artists like you should keep going. You should definitely look into like public art with engagement, because a lot of the public art in today's society has to do a lot of with engagement with the
mm,
community,
yeah,
right? So projects like what you are doing, you actually get looked at because that's what they want. They want you to be involved with the people, working with
yeah,
them, getting even just having people experience what making mosaics
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Even in like communities where they don't have access to that. So it's
right,
just, I'd really, if I could tell you some advice out of this podcast, I guess that's what I would say. Because I
yeah,
mean, I'm not going to tell you about how much
mm,
a pound cost, or or how
right,
much does a hammer weigh, because you know everything already from like what I've read. So,
yeah,
or I wouldn't even tell you, I don't wouldn't even tell you where or Sony is,
yeah,
or Spielberg,
you're
or
right.
yeah, any of those things. But
Yeah. I think too, like I was, going to, SAMA a lot and seeing and hearing the presentations given by so many great artists, that were doing these big community projects. Um, that really, I mean, they always inspired me. I'm like, wow, those are so amazing, to be able to do that. And uh, I don't know, I was always very inspired by these people. The one thing for me, I'm not, I think why this project worked for me was because it was very one-on-one, and I'm generally not a really big group person,
yeah.
which intimidates me. Like, to have
Oh,
500
okay.
people come to me in one
Yeah.
place, this would
Yeah.
not have been the same experience, for me. I probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's what it was kind of neat, because I've always wanted to do sort of a community project. And this was my way of doing it. But instead of everybody coming to me, I went to them, and which made it more, didn't overwhelm me. And I like that intimacy. I like that one-on-one connection.
Yeah.
Got so much from it. And uh, so yeah, I don't know. Public works in the future, we'll see.
Yeah, well, they could be smaller groups. You don't have to,
True. That's
you
true.
don't have to be. Yeah, 'cause I mean, I called sometimes with like community projects, and I used to know sometimes, because I'm like, I can't handle that many people too. Like I'll talk to a couple of people and kind of tell them and
Yeah.
explain what mosaics are, but after a while, there's so much, like you said, information in your head about mosaics that
Yeah.
people, if there's a lot of people that don't know anything, like you don't have time to explain to like all these people at once. And especially if you have like a couple of hours, and those things are like timed, and you have to be very specific. And then it's hard teaching people to make mosaics if they've never made any before. You have to have a lot of patience too. It's not like, you give them the material and you give them the mesh and they're like, oh, okay, thank you. No,
Right.
you gotta cut here, you gotta put it here, you gotta kind of more or less, you at least have to say a couple of guidelines so they can kind of
Yeah.
go by themselves,
Yeah. I think all
right?
the scale and the technical challenges for public art are what probably prevent me from going that big, because there's just so many
Yeah.
considerations, and it's fine
Yeah.
art, it's very small and doable,
Yeah,
manageable.
yeah, yeah. And you do
That's
abstract, right? What kind of abstract work do you do now? Can you tell me a little
so
bit about that?
sure. So recently, in the last couple of years, have sort of strayed from my representational work, which I'm probably more known for, and been exploring abstract I think COVID, it was right before COVID. I was doing a new series. I had a exhibition back in Wisconsin about the area. It was called the Driftless area. And to me, like when I was thinking about this exhibition and the area, I wasn't thinking in terms of representational photographic like pieces. It was more about the texture of the land, the color, the feeling, and forward with this exhibition series. I started getting into more abstract. Some of it was just very minimalistic, and it was very new to me. It was actually the first time I felt really intimidated or vulnerable showing it, because I had never done that work and shown
Where can we look?
So,
can we look at them at your webpage? Do you have some of those in your webpage?
Yeah, there were 14 pieces in the series, and that was back in. So I started the series, I guess, in 2018. It was exhibited in 2020, right before COVID. I was so thankful that the exhibition happened, and then boom, COVID hit. So, anyways, that was, and then I just, when COVID hit, I think again, stopping, slowing down, and being more reflective, going inward, I just started thinking of themes of what was coming up for me, like, you know, this change, this uncertainty, lots of different, you know, topics surrounding COVID, and then racism. There was, you know, the George Floyd incident.
In Minnesota.
Incidences, but so I started just feeling like instead of feeling helpless, which oftentimes I feel like we feel that way, I turned to my art and poured those thoughts and feelings into my art. And so I started just exploring abstract.
I'm looking at your webpage. So people who are listening, I'm looking at your webpage. It's under abstract, and there's like a labyrinth one. It has like some different volume from like the negative space. You've just made the dimension just separated, and it looks like a really nice labyrinth. I don't know the name of it, but and then I see like some strips also that you've made. You've made like this all black one that's really nice. Seems like it has movement. That's really nice. I mean, all of them's really nice. I would really recommend people to look at her webpage. And she just doesn't have that. She just has like a lot of different things that you could. And if you want to contact her too, you know, maybe she will do a public project someday, right?
This one's challenging enough. No.
She has a gift shop. She has prints, Mosaic cards. So, you know, buy some stuff from her, please. You know, so that way all that gas money that you spent, at least get a little bit back, right, from traveling from all those 38 states.
I think, gosh, I did this earlier, not now. It'd be, you know, twice.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's another thing too. It's just been
timing was crucial on that project, and I lucked out.
Timing was really good, and you know, it's really brave of you to do that. What before we go, because you know most people they listen to a podcast in between places, like when they're driving and stuff. So I try normally not to make them that long, and you know, hopefully they like it, right? I hope everyone who's listening, they like our podcast and they can just share it and listen to it. But what do you recommend for someone to start to make mosaics? Like, you know, because I have a lot of people that come and take workshops. They've never done them before. So people who are listening to this podcast, what would you recommend to someone, or what, you know, out of all these years that you've made, what's like the best thing that you've got out of it?
For someone starting, I would say take the time to explore what interests you, like, and that can go from materials, you know, is it stained glass? Is it stone? And then as you explore, go deeper in like, what are you feeling or what are you seeing? Like what you enjoy to make, and follow your heart. That always guides you in the right place. Not everybody's going to be the fine art mosaicist. Some people might just, you know, whatever, make flower pots, make what makes you feel happy and best expresses you. There's so much joy in it, and creative paths you can take with it. And it's just great to use your hands. I think everybody can relate to that of when you're doing something tactile, it just feels good. And so take the
Okay.
time to
Yeah. So you heard it here at NCMOSAICS podcast. So, love what you do, right? And do it with love, basically. It's just mosaics. It's one of the things that you just fall in love with it after a little bit, unless you don't want to cut pieces. If you don't want to, and you just buy the material. But if you want to cut and have fun with material, move it around, choose different colors, I definitely recommend you make some mosaics. And there's so many different types as if you were to check out her webpage. Do you have Instagram too?
Yeah, Kate Kerrigan Mosaics on
There we go.
Instagram
Okay.
and Kate Kerrigan Mosaics on Facebook. Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to invite you back next time. My
Yeah.
voice is getting back a little bit. I've been gone for a little bit because I got a little bit sick, but now retaking all these podcasts and like I said, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you taking your time, and obviously great job with that project that you did. And hopefully you can send me some pictures where
Yeah.
it's going to land, right? Obviously. And
Right.
then just, let me know if you need anything. I'll be over here in North Carolina in case you ever decide. And once the gas drops a little bit, come over here, right?
Would love to, Carlos.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And then I'll see you soon.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Appreciate
Yeah. Bye.